Thank you. Bye.
Okay, now we're live and we have 1 minute and 1 hour, 29 minutes. All right.
Let's go.
So I'll start by saying hi to everyone. I will give it just one more minute so that people have the opportunity to join. You should all be able to see that this is the Early Career Engagement Interest Group. Hi, Jazz. I will also go to the housekeeping in a minute. I can definitely encourage everyone to keep the videos on if you like, but I would definitely encourage you to keep the mic off unless you want to talk, but I will get to those points in a bit as well. It's nice to see some faces around, so I see some hellos on the chat window. That's awesome. So as I said, we are just waiting for a few more people to join before we officially start. And then we can start the session proper. And I think this is one of the only times that the Early Career Engagement Interest Group has the first breakout session in RDA Plenary, which is quite an experience. I quite like that. Nice to start the whole event, the whole plenary with an early career one. More opportunities for people to chat about and get a bit more relaxed about the plenary, especially if you're also newcomers to RDA. All right, so according to the clock, we are 3 minutes past the hour, past the official start, that is. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Early Career Engagement Interest Group session. And also welcome to the RDA plenary session, the 17th. If circumstances were different, we would all be meeting in Edinburgh, which I find really sad because I was really looking forward to get there. It's one of my favorite cities and I've been there once and I really want to repeat the experience, but it is what it is. Thankfully, Juno is here and we can have our session in an online version. So the agenda for today's session, as all the early career sessions so far in the plenaries, are pretty much in the same form. So I'll start with, as you can see, the welcome. I'll do a short introduction about what the interest group is about for people who have just joined the RDA. They want to learn out a few things more about what it is. After that, we will be presenting a few of the activities that we are currently ongoing in the interest group and how this works. And roughly in the mid-session mark, we will definitely be giving the floor to you. And I'm not saying that in order to put more stress on you than you would have liked. The idea is to give everyone the opportunity to say hi, basically, to talk a bit about what interest, and hopefully what you would like to get out of the Early Career Engagement Interest Group. So why you've joined, what you would like to see. And in the end, we're going to have a more structured discussion on what are the next steps, next activities envisioned for the interest group. So aside myself, the other co-chairs of the interest group are Maria Tsioupoulou, which is also online, Eli Papadopoulou, which will be joining shortly, I hope. Too many parallel sessions, and it's not easy to manage a quite eventful plenary event, so this happens. And also Devon Donaldson, which is the fourth co-chair of the interest group. Hope that he'll also be able to join later on, but it's definitely important to mention all our leads. So a few of the housekeeping. As I said at the beginning, everyone is more than more than free to have their videos on, especially if you feel comfortable and you do have the bandwidth. We definitely want you to be able to hear what we're talking about, and having more faces shown around. It's always a useful task. I would also ask you to have your mics muted and unmute when you'd like to talk, and ideally just ping us on the chat window to make sure that we can give you the floor. If you have any questions or comments or anything for that matter, feel free to put them on the chat window. There's no raise hand, but there's also an option of sort of /hand on the chat window, and I'll provide you the floor. If you want to tweet about stuff, the official hashtag, I think it's the hashtag RDA Plenary. And if you want, again, if you have video, don't feel uncomfortable if little people and pets sort of show up around. I know it's not easy to do stuff over Zoom or online, and we're definitely mindful of different circumstances that everyone is in. In any case, the plan is to have fun here and try to make this as a enjoyable session as possible, while at the same time getting some work done. So with that, please welcome. Everyone is welcome to join, to come in and be ready to have some fun. So a few things about the group and its objectives. So in case you haven't checked this out already, and it might be the case that you already seen that, given that you are here and hopefully you've clicked on what the Early Career Interest Group is all about. But I'll try to give you a bird's eye view of what this is, what the goal of the Early Career is. So when we, and I'm talking about all the cultures right now, when we first started joining RDA in different time points, one of the common aspects that we've identified is that early career researchers and professionals, and I'm not talking also only for researchers at this point, they tend to require some more support and to make their first steps. And one of the key elements in such first steps are the networking aspect. Networking might not necessarily be a domain-specific point, but you also need to have a wide network of peers, both at the same level of the career that one is, but also in other levels, other domains. And one of those aspects we thought that could be facilitated through RDA. And for this reason, we thought that we could get some support also from senior RDA members who might be interested in mentoring, supporting the different early career research and professionals within RDA and also beyond. Because one of the key elements of the early career interest group is that it's not necessarily connected, it's not strictly within the RDA, let's say, area, but sort of lies at the very edge. So it tries to attract both people from within RDA, of course. It is an RDA interest group in the first place, but also tries to be as outward looking as possible at having people from other communities, other domains, other interests to come in and get some understanding of what we're trying to do. So the objective that we have, and these are directly copied from the charter of the interest group, are all around the early careers. I will keep this as early careers and not always mention research and professionals, because this is something that I definitely want to make it clear. We're talking about early career, and early career is not necessarily in terms of age. There might be an early career professional that is self-identifying as an early career because they are transitioning from one domain to a completely new different domain. So in that sense, they are an early career professional in that particular domain, or a researcher. So the focus, the primary concern of this interest group is around the early careers. In that sense, a key objective is to establish this kind of in the interdisciplinary network of peers. And the key word for me here is the interdisciplinarity one. So it's not the purpose to focus on a particular domain, but rather to see what are the key elements, the key challenges, and the key opportunities that may emerge when connecting to different networks. These might be completely new ideas or different perspectives or different ways of working. And again, one of the objectives is to establish this kind of network. The fact that you are here today is definitely a first step in establishing such a network. Ideally, as I said in the beginning, we'd like to have this as a physical face-to-face event, because in that case, it's much more easy to connect with people. But absent the face-to-face aspect, I think this kind of an effort is usually good enough. Another practical objective of this interscope is to establish a volunteer-based mentoring program. We'll be talking a bit more about the mentoring program down the road. There's some dedicated discussion about it, but the idea is to match and to offer dedicated information either in between this network or a more formal way of requesting information for people who are more senior, both within RDA and beyond. Again, we'll be discussing a bit more about the mentoring program in a bit. Another objective is to provide kind of a space where people who have more experience in RDA can offer their knowledge, their experience, and the lesson learned about how to navigate, how to work within RDA with other people with other early careers. So an interesting point here that it might be relevant to raise is that an early career that does not necessarily mean that they are a newcomer in RDA, and vice versa. A newcomer might not always be an early career. So this particular objective is trying to act in the intersection of the newcomer session of RDA and the early careers. In the experience that we've had so far, a lot of the early careers in RDA tend also to be newcomers in RDA. Having this kind of session, also we try to be a bit helpful on how to provide information and some context on how RDA works. But at the same time, we do have these networking sessions that happen during the breaks that would definitely encourage you to join and provide some more information. The final point is to have also a social outlet. Unfortunately, this is not something that we can easily achieve in an online version. But and again, I'll mention this later on. During every plenary that we've had a session, a physical at least one, we try to organize a social event. Mostly, let's go to bar X and have some drinks and sort of relax, talk about anything and sort of exchange some ideas, because most of the best ideas so far for me have been sort of arrived over a glass of a pint of beer, if I can move to a more UK-oriented lingo. So these are the objectives of the early career. And again, for the second and the fourth objective, we're going to discuss a bit more. I'll start with the fourth one, which again, as a reminder, is to provide this kind of experience. We've created 2 channels of communication to this matter. And these are not synchronous kinds of communication, but more of a way that people can, at any time and any time they feel comfortable, sort of review and provide feedback or ask for information. The first one is a GitHub repository where we maintain all documents and all information that we've prepared so far. And this kind of information is always kept up to date, especially regarding the mentoring program, the AMAs. I will be touching about them shortly, as well as any other plenary-oriented information that we get. So minutes from the sessions, the posters, or more structured information that we had in previous sessions, and so forth. And the second channel of communication is a dedicated Slack group. So this is the idea for this one is for people to engage at any given time. Everyone is open to join. We generally tend to have more announcements, information about plenary events, or if there are domain-specific questions, we try to mix and match them with the domains that are more relevant in that particular field. But in any case, we try to keep this as live as possible. Truth be told, as most things in RDA, these tend to be more lively during the plenary events rather than in between. But this is mostly the idea from our side, that we try to maintain it and to keep it as open and as live as possible. For the fifth objective is the social outlet. As I said, this is something that we always try to maintain and to keep, regardless of when the session is. The outlet, we try to have it on the first days of the plenary, because this is usually the time where people are at the most confused. What is happening, where RDA is, what is chaos, too many sessions, too much information. Please help. And those social outings usually help people to decompress. Our first social event was in Montreal. That was, I think, 3 years ago, possibly. And again, we try to keep this as dedicated as possible. If we like to look at particular goals and how we try to achieve them, this is basically within RDA. We try to better engage with the early careers professionals. And in order to do that, we try to identify the best ways to achieve that. This is not a set task of activities. And in later today, we're going to ask also for your opinion on the activities that we are actually engaging. The most productive one that we found is to hold monthly webinars on topics that are mostly of wide interest. But there are additional activities that might be useful, and we'd like your opinion on that. Another activity that we are trying to do is to connect with other communities existing within RDA, both interest group and working groups. So we try to actively connect newcomers and early careers with dedicated working groups and interest groups that might be of interest, so that they have the opportunity to contribute more to that. There are some questions on how to develop this best practice document. This is an ongoing activity with the RDA Secretariat, I'd like to say. We tried a lot to have this done just prior to the whole pandemic. And because a lot of things took priority during that time, we pushed it down the road. But this is, again, an ongoing activity. And finally, the main element that we're trying to achieve here is to support the fellowship program. This was a dedicated program in the EU, in the RDA EU program. In the RDA US, I think it's still ongoing, but the idea is to make a distinct connection between these fellowship programs and this interest group. So this is a broad overview of what the RDA is all about, the RDA Early Career Engagement Interest Group, to be absolutely specific. So before I move to discussing a bit about the mentoring program, let me have a quick question. All right, so there's also already a question about from Luke, and what I can definitely offer, and I should have done this now that I think of it earlier, I'll paste on the chat the minutes that we all will be trying to keep for this session. As you can see, well, you cannot see because I cannot share that section as well. But in the beginning, just below the participants list, there is a list of useful links, that also include the RDA session page, the one that you are currently joined, the early career and interest group aids in RDA, the Slack group itself, as well as an active Slack invitation that people can connect. Sorry, the link to the GitHub repository, and the link also to the slide that I'm showing, so that if you have any issues following this on the I have no idea how this is pronounced, on the platform, you'll be able to see them there. So I hope that yes, good, thanks. All right, are there any other questions or thoughts before we move on to the mentoring program? I'll take this as a resounding no. which means I can move to the next part. So what is the mentoring program? So we established that, I think 4 plenaries ago. And we try to create kind of guidelines for both mentors and mentees in how this works. In the original discussion that we had was whether it would be possible to define a kind of a mentoring program that provides structure, but at the same time is not tightly connected to a more formal mentoring system that is known, for example, through academic institutions. The reason is that having such a dedicated program might require both a more long-term engagement for both mentors and mentees. At the same time, it might not be easy to combine this with the global perspective that RDA is. So if you match from a domain-specific, a mentor from the US to a mentor from East Europe, for example, like I am in Greece, it might be a bit of a challenge to identify relevant time zones that might work for both cases, and put this also in the context of the extremely tight time schedule of most people in academia and basically everywhere, given the pandemic. Having one extra specific Zoom session, for example, might not be the best choice. So the idea that we put for the mentoring program is to keep it as simple as possible, while at the same time providing a rough structure. So I'll start with the mentors, which will give you also an idea of how, what is the expectation for what the mentee might be able to get from that. So for mentors, the expectation is that they would attend the early career engagement interest group sessions at the plenaries, with the main focus of providing feedback, comments, and every kind of support, answering questions to the participants on the session itself. This is basically an hour and a half dedication every 6 months, give or take, which is not too much of an effort, but it's extremely useful, especially if you try to navigate your way at your first steps. The second point is to have people join the Slack group and have people discuss and see how these activities might emerge. If there are questions, point them in the right direction, ask them, answer them directly, and so forth. Ideally, use also the AMA sessions, which it will come to in a second, to discuss about what are the areas that the early careers could work, what are the state of the art there, what are the key elements, so people can be ready to understand. And the final one is at least be open to the idea of having meetings with early careers, either one-to-one or as groups. And these meetings could have been virtual or otherwise. And the idea was to have them as an optional thing that some mentors will be happy to adopt. Other people might be more engaged in the Slack discussions and the asynchronous aspects. Similar to the mentees, to the mentors, the mentees are on the reverse side. The common aspect, again, is for mentees to attend the early career sessions in whatever plenary and to actively participate in the session activities. This is not to put them in the spot, if you like, but mostly to provide the extra push for people to network. Because if you attend a session and you don't provide additional information on what you're doing, what your interests are, it's not as easy for other people to engage with you, to provide information. So one of the reasons that we are having this roundtable later today is sort of having the people to simply say, hi, this is me, this is what I'm doing, bye. In the AMAs, again, I'll get so AMAs stand for Ask Me Anything sessions. These are dedicated webinars, we'll go to them in a second. So again, the expectation from mentees is to participate to those, even if it's something completely outside your own domain. We try to keep the topics varied enough and as broad enough as possible so that people can at least get some context, some interest from interesting tidbits from that may be of use to them, even if it's not directly applicable. the way of working, the way of other domains are doing particular activities might be useful for them as well. The discussion through the Slack group, this is basically designed for the mentees to talk, to connect, to ask questions. We have a few topic-specific channels, and a lot of discussions happening also through direct messages, which of course we don't monitor. You know how. I hope that you know how Slack works, but it actually is something that facilitates a lot of interactions. A key element here is to be mindful of everyone's time. When asking a question, the idea is to try to be as specific as possible. This has two advantages. The one is that if you try to ask a specific question, you get in the process of actually thinking more about what you're asking, what is the actual outcome that you want, what is the goal of the question itself. And because it's a specific question, it's much more easy for relevant or even the actual right people to address them and provide some context, even if that is pointing people towards the right correction, or if it's people saying that, yeah, the answer to this is X. Another point is to promote your own work. Again, the goal of the interest group is to connect people, to network people, and promoting your own work is definitely one way of going towards this direction. And essentially a much broader aspect, because this can be interpreted different ways, be an active member of the early career engagement interest group. So this is, if you want to have an overview of the mentors network and where they are from. As you can see, we're mostly having mentors from the US and the EU and the Europe regions. We are always open for more mentors to join in and to have more people engaged from either side of the pond. And again, we are always more than happy to have people connecting from the global south, as well as from regions outside the Europe and the US for many, many obvious reasons. It is important to give a shout out to our current mentors. It would have been really awesome to have this as face-to-face, so I can really point you to the direction. But at any given point, these people have been kind enough to dedicate at least some of their work, some of their time in their extremely busy schedules to provide some context, some information, and generally steer participants and real careers in the right direction. So I really like to thank all of them. Plus, in the social events that a lot of them try to attend, it's quite fun to have. So with that, and before we move to the Ask Me Anything calls, are there any questions, comments, or other ideas? I see there is a point of the chat. Is the slide deck available for download? I think it should be able to be accessible through the Google document. If not, I can check this right now and make it open. But it should be. That's the short response. If not, I will check it in a bit and make sure that it is fully open for people to get. In any case, all of our resources, anything after the plenary is going to be pushed to the GitHub repository. So there will be directly accessible from there in the first place. Thanks, Jess. So apparently it is accessible. So that's awesome. All right. Are there any other questions, comments, points?
That question for the Slack workspace, but I don't know the answer. I try to find this.
What is the question? Sorry, I have not found that.
On the part of the question and answers, not on the chat. Yeah.
Right.
Excellent. If you
so
can help.
Again, Jez to the rescue. He pasted the link to the active invite, but for those who don't see the Slack or don't see the chat for whatever reason, if you go to the minutes, and I'm going to paste them also again on the chat window, minutes Google Doc. There is a section on useful links, and in those useful links, there is both the Slack group itself, as well as the active invitation that people can use to directly connect to the organization itself. Thanks, Maria. So with that, I give the floor to Maria to take it from here.
Okay, let me welcome you to this session. I'm Maria Tsagipoulou. I'm the new chair on this interest group. I will introduce you to our main activity, Ask Me Anything calls. What about these calls? Okay. Otis, can you help me with the... Okay, perfect. Okay, first of all, they follow a predefined workflow. Also, we managed to facilitate the organization to find these mentors. And of course, the goal is to create this mentees network that Fotis mentioned before. So spread the word. As you can mention, Fotis on the previous slide, that this is the study case about the mentoring program. This is the way that we find the solution to keep in touch and find these networks between the people and their careers with mentors. Okay, next slide, please. We are doing this every month. Through this year of pandemic, it's really difficult to manage to do that, but we plan to organize it better for the next month, for example, and we need your feedback in order to plan better and to have better topics and the things that you are interested on. Okay. You have to join the group first on the RDA website, and then we will send you mails about this event. So if you do this, be sure that we'll inform you about all these events and the... Okay, next one. Oh, here is a screenshot from one of our Zoom session. The purpose of this video conference is, let's say, it's for the early careers to ask questions, to find their way, how to link their research interest to their involvement in RDA, the professional development as well, and whatever you are want, mentors is here for you. Each time we have a variety of mentors on these calls to answer your question or to keep you in touch with someone, for example. Okay, next one. Okay, these are the topics so far. As you can see here, we try to cover a variety of topics such as text mining, training program, data management, etc. You can find all this kind of information on our GitHub repo. Okay, but what about now? And here we want your feedback. We really want your opinion because we have this big discussion how to manage and how to keep this session on. And we plan to organize this, as I said before, for the next month. So go to Menti, use this code, and vote now.
I will stop sharing my screen. I pasted the code on the chat window so that you'll be, oh, okay, aha, that's nice. So for those, if you want to better see what Maria is sharing, feel free to, there's an icon on the bottom right of every panel that you see that you can click on expand. So you should be able to do this for yourself. I see there are already 5 votes, which is good. I have no idea how many participants there are right now.
Yeah, me too. I can't find this information. We have 7, 8 votes right now.
But please do provide. So these are topics that we've identified from previous discussions as relevant. Top right. I don't see anything in the top right. Huh. 41, pretty awesome. So
that's weird.
The idea is, so these.
If you put on your mic, your face shows up.
Yeah, I did not catch that.
And then my face is showing up. What about data management plans as something that an early career person might need to get involved with?
Right. So right now we are capturing a few of the topics that we've discussed that have come up in previous sessions, previous AMAs. So this is why we're asking for your opinion. But there is a couple of follow-up polls, if you like, where we really want new topics. And for example, data management, as you said, could be one of those. So yeah, we'll definitely ask this for this. Aha, thanks, Jess. I did not know that. All right. Let's see, 9 responses. So I would really encourage people to provide some additional responses because this would be really useful to at least schedule the coming sessions based on your interest here. So you're really shaping up what are the upcoming AMAs for the next 3-4 months, I guess, before we start about completely new topics.
Fair training.
Yeah, I see fair training, fair software. GDPR is one of the interesting ones, to be honest. It's definitely a major issue. Machine learning accommodations, there is one person there. Fair training is apparently one of the key elements here. And I would also point you, for those who are interested in that, and sort of do some connection to other interest group. There is the I have no idea. I remember the acronym. It's ETHD. ETHRD. ETHRD. That's the one. It's the interest group within RDA, which is focusing a lot on education and fair aspects. I think around training has been raised as an issue there. I think there is a dedicated working group or task force within that group that is working on that. So for those who are really interested in fair training, that might be also a good point. All right, so I don't see any more responses coming in. So I would say that we capture that and move to the next question then. Let me actually go to the next question.
Yes, let's go to the other, yes. As you can notice, we want your feedback, your active involvement on this interest group. So what you would like to hear about? Could you propose an idea, a topic for the upcoming events that we are planning to do? Go to the same Menti, use the same code, and vote. Not vote, write something.
So here you're absolutely free to put whatever ideas you might have for topics that you might like to hear about from experts or at least more relevant people in AMAs. Maria, can you share the results?
Of course.
Oh, thanks, Luke. Underneath the emojis. All right, I see that, but I'm afraid to click it because last time I clicked something in Juno, it kind of pushed me out of the platform itself. So, but thanks, 21 names, it's good. Upskilling for early career professionals who haven't come from a library information science background. All right, project management skills. That is something that I definitely did not think about, but is definitely an interesting point.
It's really necessary.
Sorry, what?
It's really necessary.
Yeah, it's actually a very nice topic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know who put that in, but that's an awesome suggestion. Advocacy for open practices. That's a nice one. Getting involved in the tab. Organization groups, how to build networks, feedback for those who have worked their way through the system. All right, so I think I have a lot of things to unpack here to actually make sense of that. We'll touch upon this in a sec. Data and data science in humanities. That would be also a nice idea. Ways of engaging with research for library staff. I really like those ideas. Some of them might also be captured by the co-chairs of this group. I know that both Ellie and Devon are active in the library sciences, information sciences, and I know that both of them are quite engaging. You cannot vote twice. Okay, sorry, Stephanie, that might be a setting in the Menti, but yes, feel free to put also points here, or ideally, you can always put them on the minutes. I'll make a section there about suggested topics, and feel free to capture them there. But I'll try also to copy them from the chat window if I can somehow. All right, looking back, so many ideas. Apparently, the topics that we presented earlier are not the best options, but again, they are a few months old. I'd say at least 6 months old, and things have moved forward. All right, so we have advocacy for open practice, benefits for publishing only metadata, and advocating this to researchers. I might ask the person who actually put this in to do the AMA, to read the AMA, because I have no idea how this might work. Algorithm fairness and algorithm discrimination. I think this is I think Mervyn also put this on the chat window. This might be a growing area, so that's definitely of interest. Learning how to translate between disciplines. I would definitely join the AMA. Persistent identifiers is something that is voted by both Stephanie and Jez on the chat window. Let me see if anything else here. Let me see. Can I copy those things? No, I cannot. All right, because I cannot copy the chat, or at least I don't know how to copy the chat, may I ask any topics that you put in the chat window to actually write them on the minutes document? I'll paste it again for your convenience here, because I'm afraid to actually lose those points when we disconnect. All right, so I have 9. Sorry, I have 9 responses. This is pretty awesome. Maria, can you scroll up? Is it possible to scroll up? Yes. All right, so
Of course.
just a quick thought about the one that's on the top left for me as I see it, about getting involved in tab organization members, how to build networks and so forth. So there is a dedicated newcomers session always in every plenary. I'm not sure if that is, I would like to argue that this is it's the video of the session is available, but I would definitely encourage you to have a look on those videos. I'm not sure if someone from the tab or from the secretariat is joined here. If so, I would definitely encourage them to sort of point this out if need be. But I would definitely urge you, if you want to get more involved and to learn how RDA works, this is a very good starting point because it provides a quick overview of how RDA works, what are the interest groups, what is the tab, how it works. And I think there are always people that can join the tab every year or so. I think that's when the elections for new tab members are open. So if you want to get more involved there, it's absolutely fine. If you want to get more involved in interest and working groups, it is if you find a working group or an interest group that is of interest to you, that you would like to get more involved, reaching out to the corresponding chairs I would guarantee that you get a positive response, especially if you are interested in being more actively involved, to provide feedback, to actually work there. People would be, the people who are leading the groups will be more than happy to have you there. And this also goes for this particular working group. And if you want to get more involved in any of the activities that we are outlining here, like AMA, so if you want to give an AMA on topic that you feel very familiar with, please reach out to us, and we can definitely set one up, especially if there are one of the points that you raise here as relevant ones. Although I would assume that if you're raising those, you might want to learn more than actually give information about. All right, Maria, any thoughts, comments from your side?
I think we are a lot to do. We have a great input here. We have to set it down and find the members or the members here, someone to talk about it. I believe these project management skills, and I really like to learn about it. And I believe many of these topics are very interesting for me too. Let's see. Okay, I will stop the sharing, and I will go to the final Mandy. This is a more general question, but who knows, maybe it's a very good input for a future activity, for a new activity, on this topic that we discussed before. What do you expect by attending to this interest group? What is your expectation?
So in other words, so far we've shown you the mentoring program, which is mostly facilitated with the RDA plenary sessions of this interest group, and the Slack channel, and the way that we can provide more coherent information about topics of interest, which are the AMA sessions. So the question is, apart from those two activities, what would be additional activities that you would like for this particular? There have been some ideas in the past, like having a newsletter, which was scrapped basically because yet another email, even every one a month, we're not sure how much of an impact it would make, and people were not really enthusiastic about it. But pretty much any idea that you might have on what would you like to get from here would be absolutely crucial, because we can try to facilitate that. So ideas are more than welcome here.
Let's see.
I have a question. I'm new to this group, and I did submit a couple of webinars a while back, so I'm familiar with this group. But I'm the community development director for the RDA US, and I've been asked to present to a group of early career bioinformatics students, undergrad and graduate, in December, about 150 of them. And so I'm here to see what you guys are doing, in case there's things that I might take to that presentation. Is there a slide deck together, or like a roadshow of any type that has been developed out of this group that might help me? And I'm specifically thinking, I've been invited as RDA, of course, to help early career get involved in RDA.
All right. So if I can, thanks, Stefan, for the question. I'll try to rephrase mostly to see if I can get this right. So in terms of engagement, the roadmap, if you like, that we are aiming for is mostly to achieve the goals that we have identified. So far, the more practical efforts are done through the AMAs and the actual the Slack discussions. So if you're looking for any kind of slide deck that you might use, I would definitely point you in the direction of the GitHub, where everything we've prepared or created in any part, both the AMAs and the plenary sessions, are there. That being said, I am not sure what type of engagement you're looking for to present in that particular discussion. Looking for bioinformatics specific, because both me and Maria are coming from bioinformatics background, I tend to say. The engagement that we are looking through RDA is mostly to be aware of what are the different strategies, efforts, approaches around research data management in its entirety, from metadata to schemas, and possibly talking for myself, to be honest here. So pointing people to activities that are already relevant to this particular field might be a first step towards going over the barrier of this is the whole RDA, a global thing with a million things happening concurrently. And this is the first sort of outline of information that you can look at.
Yeah.
Plus the pathways that are provided by the every plenary that connect all those things together. There are some discipline specific.
Well, certainly from the newcomers session, I can grab a lot of information, but I definitely want to hook them into this group somehow. So maybe we could have an offline conversation about that as well. Thanks.
Yeah, please feel free to ping at any time. I can also put the Elixir hat on from another interest group here, and I can try to provide some context also from the Elixir perspective. The Elixir is the European bioinformatics infrastructure, and we try to do a lot of engagement at that level as well. So thanks, Stephanie. Okay, I see some responses. I just realized. Okay, Maria, go through them.
Okay, I really like the first one about the networking opportunities and the social session during the lockdown. Yeah, we are thinking about this to organize something, but to stay another 2 or 3 hours in front of the computer, I don't know if it is a good idea through all this year of pandemic. But I hope on the next years, the next plenary session, we are actually face to face and socialized as we can, as we are planning to do. Okay, about the second one, to win free tickets. Okay, I want to do that. I want to participate on this plenary, on this contest, in order to win a free ticket. But I don't know if we can do that. Semi-regular social or focus topics. Okay, yeah, I believe it's a good idea, but if it's something generally, I believe it's not very easy to follow. That's the reason we want to pick topics, but we can plan to do something like to pick topics for solving problems or something like that. But without a topic, I believe it's a mess. It's a mess. Learn about different career paths. I believe through this interest group, you can find some career paths and your involvement on the RDA. I don't know, Fotis, if you want to add something on these 4 proposals.
Well, the contest is nice if we can find who will be funding the free tickets, but I like that. The social session, it's something, as Maria said, it came up a lot. But again, I'm talking now from my own personal experience. I have yet to go to a social virtual event that felt like truly social. So I'm a bit hesitant on how much of a win that might be. The semi-regular social or focus topic problem-solved discussions, that is, yeah, thanks, Des. That is a good idea in the sense that the AMAs try to approximate that as possible. So the AMAs are always, it's a full hour. The first 30 minutes, maybe 40, are dedicated to the topic itself. The last part is to spin off different discussions based on the topic. As you can see from the whole look and feel of this session, we try to keep this as informal as possible. So it's not that it's not really a social event, but it's more like a topic-oriented informal event. And this is the idea that we try to use as facilitate networking. The downside is that in order to accommodate as many time zones as possible, we kind of tend to have these in kind of not the best time zones for all involved. And this might also lead to people not ending up joining. So another idea would be to move them around. And about different career paths, that might also be a good idea, but the question I would like to pose then is, in what way would this activity be formulated so that different career paths are presented? I mean, the focus topic problem, the discussions are essentially part of the AMA at this in its current form. But the different career paths, I am a bit not sure about how this particular activity would look like. So any additional comments on that would be really useful for us. And another point here that I see raised is about capitalizing the online meetings accessibility. Right, so this is a very good point. We've already been doing that in the previous sessions as well. We always had a remote participation available. However, because the face-to-face ones were always in the time zone where the face-to-face were taking place, this by definition excluded most of the other time zones. So it might be that the actual event might be like in the middle of the night for some others. So roughly speaking, I would estimate that about 2-3 people were able to attend remotely. I fully understand that this is more of a time limitation rather than the accessibility part, but we do plan to continue having this tradition of all our plenary sessions being remote, have remote participation enabled, and at the same time be as close as possible to record them if there is such an option, so people can revisit the discussions and get information out of it. I also see Jez putting a comment in the chat window about a crossover between the research software engineering community and SSI. I think that might be a good enough idea for a topic. I'm not sure how the activity itself might be formulated, but I would really like to put this as an activity to look more into. So I'll paste this, I'll type this in to the minutes document. Thanks for that suggestion. All right.
Okay, I will stop.
Thanks, Maria. No, I think I lost the window. Yeah, there it is. All right. Any other? Am I still here? No. I stopped sharing my screen accidentally, I guess. Can you hear me?
We can hear you and can see your screen now.
Okay, I have no idea what happened. Well, I do have an idea, but yeah, sorry. And now, of course, I lost the entire chat, but I fortunately see Jess's point. I was mainly thinking that if you don't know how to present up with career paths, it's something they've done a lot of work on. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I'll try to keep this up. All right, so this brings us to the last part of the session today. And this is basically your time to shine, if you like. So the floor is yours. I would first encourage any mentors that are joining in the session today to please feel free to introduce themselves and sort of say hi. again, I cannot see who is participating, so I would really want people, if they are here, I'll give like a minute to unmute so that I see people that are planning to talk. And give them in here. I'll stop talking. All right, it appears that we don't have any of the mentors in our session today, which means I'll move to the next one, which is a roundtable introduction. People icon, I have to click on that. Right, so yeah, I think we had the discussion before in the sense that these are the people who have clicked that they will be planning to attend, but not necessarily the people that are actively in the attending the call right now. So I have no idea how many or who the people who are looking here are. But I think we can make do without that. We'll see how this goes. So the idea, and I will ask all people to join here, is to have approximately 1 minute per person, us to say hi, what they are doing, if you like, and also what would like to get out of early careers, again, if you like to. Okay, that might be a good idea. I don't know if other people can see that, but we'll see. So I'll start. I'll start to provide the context. So hi everyone. My name is Fotis. I am a researcher in bioinformatics and digital applied biosciences in Thessaloniki in Greece. So yeah, my research is in bioinformatics, as you probably understood from the title, and mostly interested in data analysis, large data sets, machine learning, and quite a degree of training around it, to be honest. I am active in the early careers because as an early career, I looked a lot around for support wherever I could find it. And now that I have opportunity to do that, not that I'm not an early career, but I'm basically, I think, in the fringe right now. I would like to give this back to the community as well as try to get some more of collaborators out of it, people to exchange ideas, people of the same mindset, if you like. So I found this to be a good venue to do that. So that's my minute. So I will ask people to unmute and try to give their own kind of minute. Mervin, I see you popped up, so the floor is yours.
Can you hear me, Fotis?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Great. So yeah, I joined, probably my situation is somewhat similar to Fotis in the sense that well, Fotis has finished his qualification, but I'm due to finish my PhD shortly. But I did join the RDA and the early career group as an early researcher, but I kind of feel like, maybe I'm not early career anymore. But one thing I do find about this group is that it's one of the groups that kind of makes the plenaries, in the sense that once you attend, you go to the social group, and the interest group session of this group. It's really kind of it's the only place usually where I find that I actually get to know people. In the RDA plenaries, and after that then the plenary goes a lot easier. You have people to talk to, and it kind of breaks the ice a bit. So that's where I find the most benefit from the group. But I've also found that the AMA calls were quite good and were quite well attended as well, and always very interesting topics as well. I could go on, but I better stop at that and leave somebody else join in. Thanks, Fotis.
Thanks, Mervin, also for your very positive view on this. I should highlight that Mervin was quite active and in one period in the early career, he was running a lot of the AMA sessions at one time. But again, time and work is not always compatible things. So. But it's always great to have you here, Mervin, and thanks for your feedback. So anyone else like to say hi? Hi, Lena.
Hi. I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely fine.
Wait a second. I cannot hear you. But okay. Yeah. And my camera isn't working. Okay. Now it's working.
Ah, perfect.
I'm
Hi.
Lehto. I have actually two roles. I am an science information specialist in the University of Helsinki Library. I just started 5 months ago, so I'm totally new in these kind of topics. I also do a PhD from the evolutionary and ecological biology, so I have research background also. And what I'm looking for this interest group is just networking and getting to know familiar with the RDA in general, and also somehow get involved, because at the moment I'm a little bit overwhelmed of everything. So yeah, nice that you are organizing this event. Thank you.
Thanks, Lena. That's awesome to hear. Best of luck to your PhD. And I have to say that the last physical plenary that we were able to join, I think, was in Helsinki, which is it was one of the more enjoyable plenaries, I have to say. I would really encourage you to join here, review also the newcomer session, and if you have any particular questions, just feel free to ping, and we will try to be as helpful as possible. And in regard to networking, I think you're in the best place to do so. So welcome. Anyone else?
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi, Eleanor. Yeah.
Hi, I'm
Hi.
going to see if my camera's working as well, so you can see me. There I am. Hi, I'm Elena Warren, and I'm a research services librarian at the University of Manchester in the UK. This is my first RDA plenary, so yeah, like Lena, a similar kind of slightly not sure what's going on, and it's all digital and stuff, but yeah, I still feel quite new. So I also have a research background, finished my PhD in medieval studies, so I'm an arts and humanities researcher, but I finished it about 6 years ago now. But I went kind of straight from being an early career researcher into working in libraries. So but I've only been working in, so I work in research data management and open research now, which I've been doing for about 2 years. So I still feel quite early career in my library career, because it's not something that I trained in. So I very much just kind of learned on the job, and utilizing my kind of research background and the skills there. So it's nice to know that there's a nice friendly group of people here to get to know, because I'm still kind of developing my kind of library network and kind of data network and things like that. So that's me.
Awesome. Welcome, Eleanor. Great to have people join. I can definitely say that I can so relate to your feeling of being overwhelmed. I cannot forget the first time I got involved. I attended a plenary session. I was thinking, okay, I have no idea what's happening here. But I would not say that it's experience. It's mostly to try to figure out and to come to terms that you cannot attend everything, but rather figure out what are the particular topics that you want to get more actively involved. And there is no real threshold or barrier to doing so. You literally go up to the person leading a group or a session and say, hi, I would like to learn more. I would like to be more involved. And again, as I said before, I guarantee that 99.9% of the time, said person will say, yes, please join, help, and that's it. And then you'll be able to both learn and shape all the work that RDA is doing. So welcome, and don't worry about being overwhelmed. It will go away. I promise. It did for me at some point. Anyone else? Hi, Luke. I'm Crystal. All right, so I'll give the floor to Luke, who I saw popping up first. Okay, I can have 3 people. All right, so I'll do it one by one. So hi, Luke, then Crystal, and then Jazz.
I am Luke Baruto. I'm one half of a small nonprofit called Funken. I was trained as a researcher in computational linguistics and natural language processing, but I've changed domains a bit, so it's still early career to me. And we work on health metrics and making citation metrics truly alternative. We support 300 different languages and everything, but we're between academia on one hand and those big companies that I will not cite on the other hand. So it's hard to find a community to know what people really need. And since we're trying to cater to underrepresented communities, and I do think early career researchers are underrepresented in metrics and everything, I'm curious to see if anyone is interested or has concerns about metrics and everything.
Thanks, Luke. I can definitely say that I will be more interested to learn more about that. And I can be fairly certain that people talking about metrics in academia and beyond would be more than happy to hear more about that. So thanks, welcome. And I would definitely urge you to put this topic as metrics into the upcoming one, so we know that we should knock on your door at that time. So thanks. Crystal, the floor is yours.
Hello. Yeah, so I'm Crystal. I'm joining today from Melbourne in Australia. I'm a research data specialist at the University of Melbourne, which is kind of a new-ish direction. So my PhD was in music and psycholinguistics. And so, yes, g'day. So yeah, I perpetually feel like an early career researcher, no matter what I do. I guess I'm just here for sort of networking as well. And to Luke's point, yes, I am very interested in metrics and what it represents, or rather doesn't represent. Yeah, thank you for having me along.
Thanks, Crystal, and really thank you for joining it. I think it's like 10 p.m. now, something like that. So it's definitely not early in the day. So thank you for making the time and connecting here, and really glad to have you on board. Okay, Jez, the floor is yours.
Hi, I'm Jez Cope. I'm the data services lead at the British Library. And I'm here because I'm perpetually baffled by RDA plenaries, which are just a great big heap of stuff happening, and also always confused as to whether I count as early career or mid-career and what that means, and kind of what guidance I can provide to others who are a bit earlier in their career and those kinds of things.
All right, thanks, Jez. I would say in terms of whether one is early or non-career, I would argue that is how you feel. So I don't know if I technically qualify as an early career if you look at, I know, funding schemes, but I can definitely feel as an early career, especially when joining RDA, because there are so many different things coming all the time, which I have marginally some idea what's happening. So guidance is always useful to have. And based on your experience, I would argue that you can definitely provide some guidance, at least around data management, given your particular role and expertise. But in any case, I'm really happy to have you here, and thanks for your input. Any other? Hey, Irene.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Absolutely fine.
Okay, so I'm Irene Ramos. I'm a data manager from the National Commission for the Knowledge and Use of Biodiversity in Mexico City. And I am also doing a PhD in sustainability science. I'm doing research on how to link different types of data, socioecological data in particular. And this is also my first plenary. So, yeah.
Okay, right. So first of all, welcome. If I can do the math correctly, that would be like very early in the morning, like 7 in the morning or even earlier. So really, I mean, I'm really amazed that both you and Crystal are able to join. And I just see on the chat window that it's like 4 in the morning for Stephanie. Oh dear. I really do thank you for joining. I know that this is like a not normal time to do any kind of Zoom sessions, but I do thank you. So for Irene, thank you for joining. I kind of believe that if when you get past, because you will get past this overwhelming step of what RDA is, and again, as I said earlier, the easiest step would be to identify 1 or 2 working groups or interest groups that are relevant to your point, to your activities, and then go ahead and sort of reach out to them and get involved. That would be the first clear point of moving forward, and that will sort of help untangle I would not say the mess, but you know how the whole thing of RD works. So welcome here. Please feel free to reach out anytime, and welcome to have you in the RDA community. And thanks, Eleanor, for joining. Bye, and I'll definitely, hopefully, see you around. So I know we have 12 minutes left, so I'll give the last 2 minutes for other people to join, and then we can do a kind of a wrap up of the session. So anyone else like to say a few things?
Hello. I'm Stephanie.
Hey, Stephanie.
From San Diego at 4:30 in the morning.
Oh dear. First of all, yeah, you're a hero. Please go ahead.
Actually, it's part of my job to be here, so I don't feel bad. So I just wanted to introduce myself. I am new to the RDA, so I also feel lost at times and went to the newcomer sessions. I was the executive director of Force 11 for the last 7 years, and I just came over to RDA in I guess October, so pretty recently. And I'm really excited. It's an amazing organization, absolutely amazing. But one of the things that I wanted to do was build membership, bring more members into RDA, and I really see early career is so important to building a vibrant organization and continuing on. And so I'm focusing in that area of meeting with Phil Bourne's group at UVA, and you know the data schools and things like that. So I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to do that, except I got invited to this thing I was telling you about with 150 students. So something's working, but I'm hoping to start bringing those students and early career postdocs and such, and introduce them to RDA. And interestingly enough, because we're often so in this ourselves that we forget that there's a lot of people that don't even know who we are, believe it or not, including senior people. I mean, I had a conversation with one of the founders of the International Society of Computational Biology who did not know what RDA was. And so I think sometimes we get isolated in our little worlds. And so I'm really excited about bringing in and introducing RDA to more, certainly early career. And however you all can support me in doing that, or any ideas that people might have on this call on how we might do that together, I'm hired to do that. So you have someone that can help push this along. So thank you so much for doing this work. It's so appreciated, and I'm really excited to be on board. Thanks.
Thanks, Stephanie. Again, as I said, for the morning. Yeah, regardless of I mean, it's a fit. I would definitely do that, and I can testify that this happened. I was asked to do that. Ellie, on the other hand, which is another co-chair, was actually leading this session in the previous plenary at 2 in the morning for her. So there's definitely some dedication from the co-chairs here. I can definitely not say I would do that. I mean, I'm half dead, brain dead at times. So to your point, I fully agree that a lot of the senior people in academia tend to not be aware of RDA and what RDA is all about. And I strongly believe that this is a key role that the early careers are very fit to do so, to increase this awareness. And I can definitely say this for my own institution, for example. A lot of people, no one was aware of RDA, what RDA was about before I started sort of pestering them about the RDA this and RDA that, and sort of got involved and then realized that we actually can get a lot of new information, useful guidelines, useful recommendations from that have a significant impact on their own work. So this is a key element. The downside for the early careers is that, as Mervyn is also saying on chat window, this is a voluntary organization, which means that a lot of the effort is going to be done from your own time. And early careers tend to have, I mean, everyone has limited time, but early careers have also to juggle a lot of other things, professional and otherwise. So this is one of the barriers that it's not easy to overcome, but I'm definitely in favor of, I mean, the gains from such an interaction are more than overcome the limitations, like the disadvantages. All right, so with 7 minutes left, is there anyone else, like in the next 30 seconds, that'd like to give a quick hi? Otherwise, I will move on to closing the session. Yes, Ellie, please do. Go ahead. Let me see if I can do something about it. No, I don't know how to resolve that. Can you try refreshing your screen? It might help. So while you figure that out, let's see. No, it does not have anything here. So while you figure this out, I'll move to the last points here. So there are some dedicated ways, as I said, to join the discussion. The first and the easiest one to do is to basically join early careers. It's nothing. It costs nothing. Being a member of RDA costs nothing. It's simply a registration, your email and your name. You can join the group, and you can have all the information, the correspondence that we have here. And all the information, all the documents that we're producing are in the GitHub repository. Feel free to join the Slack group, and there's the QR code for those who want to do this in a more fancy way. The link is also in the minutes. We do have an active Twitter account. Ellie is doing excellent work in maintaining that and making sure that relevant activities and efforts are disseminated as quickly as possible. Right. So what Ellie is saying also in the chat window, let me put it out loud. Volunteers, from what Ellie has seen from the other 4 others she's involved, are also the most dedicated and creative minds, and I can definitely echo that. Early careers are the most dynamic, people because they are more driven and more established, if you like, professionals. And moving to the last slide, as you can see, the structures, everything that we sort of require are in place. We are trying to be as flexible as possible with adapting to new ideas, new topics, new efforts. So what we really need from all of you is basically engagement. Connect with us, give us your thoughts, give us your ideas. Feel free to be as much active as you like. We are quite an open group. I would tend to say that we're also quite flexible one. So if you want to lead anything, any of those activities that you see here, from a topic to an AMA or an actual dedicated activity, this is really open. Feel free to reach out to us and we can set things up. And with that, I'd like to thank everyone. I would also like to ask Maria and Ellie to open the cameras as well, so that all of us can say hi to all. And I'll stop sharing my screen. I don't know if that makes sense. Any last thoughts, comments from Ellie, Maria, or anyone else in this session?
Thank you. General thanks to plan new sessions for the calls, and we really appreciate your feedback. It was really helpful. Thanks.
All right. I'm really sorry, Ellie. I really would have liked to see you here as well. Don't apologize. It's Juno's fault. It's always the platform's fault, you know. Thanks everyone. I hope you enjoyed the session. I hope that you find something useful. You've seen how we kind of try to work. So, as I said, feel free to connect, feel free to join, feel free to reach out with any ideas, concerns, questions, and we'll try to help or to make them happen as best as we can. So thanks everyone. Enjoy the plenary. This is the first session and we have a lot of sessions ahead. Good morning to some of you, which is really early morning. Good night to the people who are ending the day, and an excellent day for everyone else who are somewhere in between. And with that, thank you all.